Black Christmas we all had to watch, but in my opinion only one was good. Next year, to save me from tears, I'll read the Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, all right.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Uninformed Movie Reviews. Everyone listening, it is I, Danny, of the Thirsty Threesome. We're here. Welcome.
Wow, beautiful intro. I'm surprised you landed it lyrically. Not, and that is not meant as a dig. I was like, did he put any thought into this? It felt real nice, Danny. It was real solid. The tomatoes really tied it all together.
I had to work on the the iambic pentameter of it all. The diction.
It's so funny because I had the same joke going on in my head last night when I was watching this. I was like, Black Christmas. It's a series of movies where all the movies have the exact same name. That was my joke. I was like, how would we have 3 movies all called Black Christmas?
I much prefer Danny's version.
Mine was more, a little more dry. You know what I mean? I also didn't go full George Michael right now, so I feel like I didn't get I should have went all out in my presentation of it.
It's the gusto that matters.
It is the gusto. That's what gets it. And speaking of gusto, we get another remake versus original for everybody.
Hey.
I don't know what that has to do with gusto, but we're talking about Black Christmas and...
it has to do with me gusto.
Should we inform people of what happened?
Yeah.
I suppose.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
I guess we're the uninformed movie reviewers, but that doesn't mean that our listeners have to leave here totally uninformed.
Yeah, and this is funny because, this is Uninformed Movie Reviews. We try to be semi-informed, but today, truly, some of us will be uninformed because...
Staying on brand.
Our plan, there's 3 Black Christmases. There's 1974 original. We were planning on reviewing that one and comparing it to the 2019 remake. And Franklin here got confused somehow. But he didn't watch the 2019. He watched the 2016 or 2006.
Hey.
And then Danny...
If there was one in 2016, I might have watched that one instead.
I watched all 3 because I was planning to do that anyways. And then Danny only watched 74 and 19, the original plan. So... we come here today to talk mostly about the 1974 movie.
And we also come here today to talk about what it means to pay attention. And to read the directions all the way.
I'm sure at the time I was paying attention, but I should have written it down or something,
Dang.
A note would have been useful.
Runner-up Danny's really hitting you right now. So... 1974 Black Christmas. Let's talk about this a little bit. What is Black Christmas? It's a slasher movie. And to put it into context, it's actually one of the first slasher movies. There's one credited in 1971, but 1974 is often seen as like the year the slasher genre showed up. And particularly, it's 2 movies that did it, Texas Chainsaw Massacre and good old Black Christmas. So these are, years before Halloween comes out in 79, which we kind of think of as the kickoff of slasher movies. And then you got the 80s, which is filled, with every possible slasher in every possible situation you could think of. But just right off the bat, just to talk a little bit about slasher movies, man, I feel like Black Christmas it feels like a slasher movie. Like they hit all these big tropes that you recognize in so many slasher movies, and they do it so well. And not to hate on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I love that movie, but if you watch it, it's really not a slasher movie by the way that we define it today. It's kind of its own thing. It's this weird grindhouse movie. But yeah, Black Christmas, just to put it in perspective for you all, we got the story. This is director Bob Clark, writer Roy Moore. And basically we have a group of sorority sisters with some pretty famous names in here. We have Olivia Hussey and Margot Kidder. They're getting terrorized by this man making creepy phone calls, very creepy phone calls. And it turns out that he's like hiding in their attic and kind of killing them one by one. And that's, more or less the slasher movie premise here. What else do you got to say, to talk about a slasher movie?
That's the film in a can.
Another part of the cast that I really enjoyed was seeing, I didn't even know his name until I looked it up, is John Saxon. I always know him because of his face. He's that dude from Scanners that blows up people's heads.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. I always recognize him from Nightmare on Elm Street, where he also plays a cop. So it's like this guy has, cop in slasher movies. He's got a monopoly over that role. And you know what? I believe John Saxon just passed, within this last year.
Rest in peace and peace.
Yes, July 25th, 2020. How sad. But what a talent, and gives a great performance in this movie. The cops are like a nice bit of humor in 74 Black Christmas, for sure.
Definitely
in almost every
commentary on
scene
the
that the cops are involved in.
On how cops were back then and are today.
Oh, yeah. Well, speaking of commentary, I think that's something that we can get into right away. All the movies, 1974 has got a bit of commentary on abortion. They really sneak in this conversation about women's choice. Seems pretty advanced for the 70s too. You gotta imagine this was.
We forgot to mention an honorable mention of the cast too. What's his name? Keir Dullea, the guy that plays Peter.
Is he Chris D'Elia's father?
No, we don't say his name here. Keir, he plays David from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, playing a huge role in Space Odyssey, the only role almost. You know what I mean? Space Odyssey's got one person and then a bunch of bit parts in a computer, I guess. Yeah. We got to shout that guy out. And he's the jealous boyfriend who impregnates Olivia Hussey. Well, I shouldn't say he's jealous. He's just angry. But he's a pianist.
Obsessive boyfriend, I'd say.
He's a concert pianist, so it makes sense why he's obsessive and angry. You know what I mean? But that's really a big theme of the first one. I mean, the 2019 one, I know Frank hasn't seen it, but the theme there is definitely date rape and rape culture, really.
I think the theme, David, is girls get it done.
Yeah, I guess so. But although, arguably, girls get it done in every movie, right? Well, I take that back.
I mean, a lot of ladies die in these movies.
Yeah, I don't think that the girls really do much in Black Christmas except die.
Okay, well, before we get into it, we should, put a spoiler warning on here. We're really talking about these.
You're about to get spoiled.
But in 74, no one lives. No one makes it through. I mean, that one girl lives at the end, Olivia Hussey, but then it's set up to assume that no, she's about to get murdered too. In the 2006, one of them gets away. There's a final girl, and then in 2019, it's a group of girls.
None of them die. I think
none of them
one of them dies.
Well, that's terrible and unbelievable, but I guess I'll have to take your word for it.
It's more than one. It's it's at least
the original one, and there's at least two. I think maybe it's on par with their message. You know what I mean? They were trying to do the girls get it done, empowerment. So no female should die in that movie is kind of what they were doing, but they were remaking a slasher movie, and
that's a main ingredient.
No one gets slashed. It's not a slasher. That's not a slasher movie in any context of the word.
Yeah, 2019 is a case of our license on Black Christmas is running out. We're not going to have the copyright on this name. Yeah, let's get Blumhouse out here to pop out a real big stinker. 2006 at least feels 2006 first off is a pretty faithful remake that expounds upon the source material of the first one.
I was excited about it as a remake from the moment of the first kill, because both of the first kills are asphyxiation in a plastic bag. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It just so happens that in the remake, in the 2006 remake, most of the people murdered end up with a bag over their head at some point.
Yeah, they make
that's part of the lore.
They make it it's the chainsaw. If it was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you expect that kill.
Mm-hmm.
I can't quite recall, David. Do you recall in 2019? I know the first kill. Does the killer also put the victim in the attic to look out the window? I can't remember.
No, and that's another thing too. In 74 and in 2006, and it's an iconic scene. It's on the cover of the Blu-ray for 74. Mm-hmm. You have the body that's, the first kill of the movie is hidden in plain sight. And it's, in the attic next to a window. You get that in both of those movies.
Hanging out doing the Mama Bates.
In 2019, there is a kill in the attic, and they find the body moments later. And it's also not the plastic bag. They stab her in the eye with like a shard of glass.
No, the first kill in 2019 is with an icicle. The lady gets stabbed with an icicle in the front yard of someone's house while she's walking home. But
which also happens in 2006. There's also an icicle kill in 2006.
Oh, okay. So I guess that's a nice homage. I thought it was real stupid because then there's that really like on the hand, like just hammer on the head, like maybe it's cool. It's like a cheesy Christmas part with like
she makes a snow
angel essentially. Yeah. she's
on the floor struggling and she's like waving her arms back and forth, and then he stabs her in the chest with the icicle, and then he drags her body off. And actually,
Merry Christmas.
It's a pretty nice looking shot. It is a bit cheesy. It's kind of like Daenerys and the dragon wings in the last season of Game of Thrones. It's like it's a little too on the nose. You know what I mean? I got to point this out. 2019 is a PG-13 movie.
Oh, yikes!
So right away, you know
something's up.
1974 is disgusting.
Oh, it's
especially the phone conversations. That's
I was just going to say, it's like, it's truly obscene, like the phone call.
It is. Every one of these movies has the killer character or characters, spoiler alert. I need to stop saying spoiler alert after we've already said spoiler alert. But anyways,
some people will keep listening and they'll get mad.
That's true. I'm just trying to be nice. Okay. So
it's a nice alert. Like, hey, you just got spoiled. We always do them after the spoiler.
It's like when you wake up in the morning and you mute your alarm. You know what I mean? It's like, I'll be back in 15 minutes.
Spoil snooze.
There's always a phone call. There's always a threatening message. And in 74, it's also the 70s. So there's no caller ID. You know what I mean? There's no star 69, apparently. You can't just call the number right back. So it's even creepier because they're getting these phone calls, and then the content of the phone calls are so disgusting.
The content, the delivery, it's also perfect.
Even by today's
like
standards,
whispering to like yelling, and it's really creepy.
And the words he chooses, it's so vulgar and like it's disturbing. It still makes you feel uncomfortable today. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty
effective.
And to think that it's like, oh, this is the first slasher movie. And they're hitting it right there. In 2006, it's also phone calls, but they play a little bit more with like the whole cell phone thing because characters have cell phones now. But it plays into the scare.
It's not really phone calls. It's Facebook messages.
Well, I'm talking about 2006.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
2006 is phone calls. Yeah, this is going to be a confusing episode. In 2006, which is Black Xmas, it's not just Black Christmas. They call back. You know, they star 69 the phone, and then they're like. Or they're like, oh, the caller ID says it's, our missing friend or whatever. And it's like, so that's kind of creepy. In 2019, it's literally just like, oh, someone DM'd me.
Yeah, it's like the founder of the school, like a bust of the school. So to give it some context, like the students, like the students, particularly this one female black character that's like part of the main role, she led a petition to get signed by other female students to get rid of the bust of the founder of the college that they go to because he was a slave owner.
It's Calvin Hawthorne.
Yeah, Calvin Hawthorne. Mm-hmm. And so afterwards, the main victim or the victims in general are just getting Facebook messages essentially, or Facebook group messages from Calvin Hawthorne, a bust of the Hawthorne. It's really real dumb.
It's just a bust though. How's he sending messages? He has no hands.
There's also there's also a professor named Gary Ells. He's the doctor in Saw.
Gary Ells?
Yeah, there we go. Elwes. I can never say that name. Carrie Elwes.
It sounds like you're using baby talk. Elwes.
I think I said Gary too. I just saw Carrie and decided that's a dumb name. I'm gonna say Gary.
Gary Ells.
Carrie.
That can't be his name.
Carrie Ells. Anyways, this guy, he's introduced at the beginning of the movie as a controversial professor, and they're trying to get him removed. He's basically Jordan Peterson. I imagine Jordan Peterson like masturbates watching this movie. It's like he's all over it. He loves his character, and he's like, I wish I could kill all these SJWs.
That's a weird thing to be imagining, David.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, it's Jordan Peterson. Anyway, then he eats a whole plate of raw meat. He just eats a pile of steaks. Man, Jordan Peterson. Anyway.
Yikes.
That's like that character. He's like this aggressive professor, I guess. And you know immediately he's going to be the bad guy because of the way he's presented.
They set it up.
And also that he's like a main villain in Saw. Like that also helps. It's like if you introduce a character at the beginning of the movie and it's like Robert Englund.
It's Robert Englund. Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, this guy's going to be a bad guy.
That would be a twist. If M. Night Shyamalan wants to bring twists back, like make the protagonist Robert Englund in the beginning of the movie.
Totally random too. Robert Englund's going to be in the next season of Stranger Things. That was just announced recently.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah, the fourth. I'm curious to see where they put him.
Oh, that is interesting.
But yeah, the professor. That professor is like an ex-member of this fraternity, and the fraternity really recognizes Hawthorne and his ideas, and it goes more into that. There's this whole occult thing going on, but that's more or less the setup that's going on in the 2019 one. It's weird because it feels like it's a movie to empower SJWs, but it's written in a way that makes it seem like it's making SJW seem silly.
Right.
Like I think I'm supposed to be rooting for this character, this like young black lady. Her name's Elise Shannon. But instead, I'm like, oh, these are bad decisions, girl. Like, it's the wrong choice over and over again.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like you're saying, I mean, it's meant to like forward, the SJW like mission statement, but it definitely pushes like the worst parts of it. It pushes the most annoying parts of all of it, and it hammers you over the head. Like
when I was watching on Michelle, she was. Oh, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna like the dialogue's completely hammer-fisted, and it doesn't even work into a real conversation. Like it's literally like the writer was just like talking point. Dang, I need to insert this in this dialogue line. Screw it. I'm just gonna throw a BuzzFeed article right here.
Oh my god. Yeah, totally. I was watching this with Michelle last night, and we're watching the movie, and she's like, okay, this is a movie that's definitely written by a man, because this is a man interpreting the way that women would react. So then I looked it up, and no, it's written by two women. It's so surprising.
It is. Huh? Yeah.
It just seems so out of touch. It seems like grandpa trying to be cool around the teenagers.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like
that sounds something that's not
using buzzwords. It sounds
like something that's unenjoyable.
It's really not great. It's it's like them using buzzwords, and it's like the equivalent of like that Steve Buscemi meme where it's just like, hello fellow kids.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Love it.
So Frank, do you think, is there a theme of 2006 other than like jaundice awareness?
So honestly, I'm really glad that I made the mistake I did. I know I kind of screwed up the assignment, but it sounds like 2019 wasn't a very fun watch. And I really enjoyed 2006. One of the things I enjoyed the most.
Frank.
Yeah.
There we go. COVID.
That's what I've been doing for most of the things this year. Just like, COVID.
COVID.
What are you going to do?
It's the new thanks, Obama.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes, that's 100% accurate.
But one of the things I really like about 2006 that stood out to me was like the overall tone. Like it really feels like a Christmas movie, and like the playfulness of the music, like the way they do a lot of the like pans and the zoomed outs and the shots. It has like a playful, like magical, whimsical feel to it that I really enjoyed.
They also use a ton of Tchaikovsky, like the Nutcracker Ballet, in specifically in 2006, and it adds to that whimsy for sure.
Yeah, it really does. It's like very whimsical. And I forgot when we were talking about it the first time, wanted to shout out Andrea Martin, who plays Mrs. Mack in the 2006, and she played Phil in the 1974 version.
Oh, really? Yeah. I didn't catch that. So they have a returning cast member in 2006. Mm-hmm. That's really cool.
Yeah, she comes back to play the house mother.
To springboard off of what you're saying, Frank, like, I agree that also the 1974 version. Oh, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I have to announce this. That same person is also the manager in Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Oh, no way.
That is so cool, man. I would have never noticed that.
That is really cool.
That's awesome. Okay. Sorry. Anyways, what were you saying, Danny?
No, I was just going to say that you're right about 1974 also has a Christmas atmosphere. It is a dark Christmas movie, but it circulates around having, it's like the juxtaposition of a Christmas movie. And I think that's also what they were going for. Whereas in comparison, 2019 just uses the familiarity and nostalgia of what Black Christmas was, and then inserts its mission into there.
It like relies a little bit too much on the lineage.
There was one. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, if you haven't seen 1974's Black Christmas and you walked into 2019, you're just like, I guess this is a remake of a movie. It would not even lend any homage to any of it. You know what I mean? Like, you could say, oh yeah, I've seen the Black Christmas trio or trilogy or something. It's like, oh, I saw the 2019 one, but you wouldn't be able to relate to any of the other ones because they don't fit.
And I was actually writing similarities down while I was watching 2019 Black Christmas. There's a quick shout out to the disgusting dialogue of 74. The first text of the movie is like a pig emoji and then a cat emoji. So that references like a real disgusting line from 74.
A very disgusting, very memorable line.
But then other than that, the only other two things that I recognized was that, three things. There's an attic kill. There's a big fluffy kitty, and his name is Claude or Claudette in the original.
It is, because they even had to gender swap the cat.
Yeah, and then girls get it done, and then there's a Jewish sorority sister in both movies, like in 74 and in 2019. There's just a Jewish sorority sister, and they make a point to say that she's Jewish.
Huh?
And I'm like, right on.
No, I don't think that's what they were talking about when they said "see something, say something." I don't think that's what they're referring to.
I don't think so.
One part of the 1974 Black Christmas that I enjoy was just how much of a mess the sorority mother is. Just like, like putting up this front, and then while I don't remember the girl that got murdered. Maybe I'm gonna say Kate. I'm gonna insert name Kate. Like her dad comes down, and she's trying to like put on a front to him, and then in the meantime, she just like is falling apart, drinking like peppermint schnapps and stuff.
Yeah, and there's a whole running gag of there's just like liquor hidden everywhere in the house. Like she's got all these hidden stash spots. That's really good stuff. I love that stuff. Yeah, talking about the first movie. Oh, this is so funny. I was like looking at the 1974 one. Thought I was anyways. I was looking at 2006. I was like, why don't I recognize any of these character names? I'm looking at the wrong movie. That's why.
That'll throw you off.
It's not Barb, is it? No, Barb's Margot Kidder. I think it's Phil. It's FHYL for Phyllis.
FHYL.
I'm pretty sure that might be another girl. It's hard when you watch 3 quote unquote slasher movies in a row because the characters are always so dispensable.
Is 2019 also set like in a sorority house?
Yes, that's all, one of the only, like the setup is the same, but after that it's totally different. So in 74, character wise, I really like Margot Kidder. I think she's so funny in this movie.
She's dope.
Like she really cracks me up. Like she's got so many just like inappropriate scenes, like that scene where she's like giving an alcoholic drink to that little kid. It kills me, man. It's just so hilarious.
When she's going off to that one girl's dad about the turtles mating, about going to the zoo to watch the turtles mate for 3 days in a row. But she couldn't stay there for 3 days in a row, so she just went to go watch the zebras mate because they only take 30 seconds. And she ends that story so good. She's just like laughing hysterically and then starts coughing up a lung because of all the cigarettes she's chain smoking. It's like so ungraceful and it's beautiful.
Yes.
Before we go on further, I just have to introduce our special guest of the evening, guys.
Oh,
Our special guest of the evening is the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. Right outside of my window. They've been here and overstayed their welcome for the last 5 days. So if you hear some clanging, it's just the giant 30-foot metal plate they put over the road and left.
That's hardcore.
For 5 days. So anytime
maybe it's a present.
Over, yeah, it's an early Christmas present. It's a bad one. I did really bad this year. This is my coal. Like it. Every time a car rolls over it, I can feel it through the floorboards of my apartment. So,
oh my gosh,
if you hear anything,
awful, man.
Just welcome.
Are you sure it's not some kind of serial killer hiding under your floorboards? Maybe like peeking out through a little hole.
That would probably be more welcome.
Damn. Imagine if you complained about the sound of a car driving by outside and David was like, maybe it's a ghost.
Whoa, that's a callback, man. That is a callback right there. Okay, so back to Black Christmas. We talked a lot about the cast of 74. 2006, we didn't really talk about too much. I know Frank's crazy about old Michelle Trachtenberg.
Ooh, man, what a treat. You get Mew and Michelle Trachtenberg, same movie. What a joyous occasion. I mean, while we're back on 2006, some other things, just some delightful things that I wrote down in my notes are all just like observations. But did anybody else notice about 34 minutes into the movie and the Billy flashbacks, at this point, Billy's mom straight up looks like the Joker. Like her hair's all like super stringy and strung together.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, like those flashing red and green lights all over her. That stuff's really good.
Well, you know, this is a thing to point out for Danny, and for the listener. In 74, our killer is named Billy. Mm-hmm. And we get a little bit of info about him on the phone call because he's got like a Norman Bates thing where he's like, you know, the mom and...
he's speaking for the whole family, you know? He even gets some papa in there. He gets dad fighting with mom and it's some good stuff.
But that's all the backstory we get. We just get whatever he says. In 2006, there's like a whole origin story of Billy and like why he's killing people... why he's in that house, like what the house means to him. There's a lot of like backstory for the murderer in that one, and there's also a bit of mystery, too, because we don't know exactly what's going on. But
how does that go over for one that did not watch the 2006?
I think it's
play
good,
well for the movie overall.
Dude, it's honestly one of the things. It's one of my favorite parts about the movie is the fact that you get the lore behind the killer and the whole. There's a whole twist and it's dope. It's fantastic. It adds to the fear because it's already like a legend locally. Mm-hmm. It's something that these people are already like aware of. The
girls at the sorority house wrap a present for Billy every year. It's like it's a tradition. Because he's a local legend, cool. This kid who murdered his family on Christmas.
Which gives us a great scene where they're like, oh, you guys already wrapped the Billy because an alumni comes in. And then they're like, oh, this one says from Billy to the Kappa Sigs or whatever their sorority is. And then they're all like,
we didn't wrap that.
Yeah, and it's fantastic.
The alumni lady in this movie is Crystal Lowe. Or her name is now Yan K. Crystal Lowe. I don't know what's going on there. But she is the teacher from Final Destination. And this is from the director of Final Destination, this movie. And it also is produced by Dimension, who does all the Final Destination films. So there's a lot of like tie-overs there. And I think one of the girls in the sorority is in Final Destination. I'm pretty sure she's the one who gets fried in that tanning bed.
Definitely one of the girls in that sorority wears pink on Wednesdays. I know that for sure.
Oh, for sure. For sure, because we got old Gretchen Wieners.
Schabbert. I was just gonna say this is a mean girl here.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got that name wrong. It's Kristen Cloak, who's the teacher. I got her name wrong. Apologies there. But Danny, that stuff with the killer works really well. Although I was just telling Frank this. So I'm pretty new to these movies also. I've really been like diving in the slasher genre the last few years. And I picked up Black Christmas 74 last Christmas to, you know, switch things up a little bit. So I watched it then. Really enjoyed it, and then immediately went out and got 2006. I was like, okay, let's watch this remake. And after watching that, I was like, the remake was pretty good, but it doesn't quite got that sparkle the 74 one has. It doesn't have that weird, quirky humor. And I was like, this is kind of a forgettable sequel, you know what I mean? And then, or a forgettable remake. But dang, I watched 2019 last night, and then I just finished watching 2006 earlier today, and I was like, 2006 is a gem. Compared to 2019. Like some of the dialogue's a little stiff, but 2019 is a whole nother category, man.
What's funny is I was reading the Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb's for the 2019 because I had to like affirm what I was thinking. Like I knew it. I mean, obviously this thing's like it's very low rating. I'll let Stat Daddy say the ratings, but it's very low. And all the reviews are just saying like the only saving grace of this movie is that it makes 2006 look so much better.
That's so funny.
Like,
I think the people who are fans of Black Christmas are gonna like really appreciate 2006 now. Like, I think it's really gonna be brought up. But there's some really creepy stuff in 2006. The gore, if you're into gore, is super intense. It's almost all practical, and it still looks really good.
Yeah, like one of my favorite gores that we get, I had to write it down in my notes because I was just like, Jesus, that was so dope. It's like a shot from underneath the killer, you know what I mean? You're looking up at this tall person and they bite into an eyeball, which you get to see a lot of eyeballs outside of their bodies in this movie. And the gush that comes out like towards the camera, it's so satisfying.
Yeah, it's so goopy.
Oh,
Billy's got a big thing about removing people's eyes
Loves
in 2006. And then also, Billy's jaundiced in this movie. He was born, well, I don't know if it's jaundice.
it's something similar. He's
something
orange.
similar.
He's got like an orange tinge.
He's got this orange yellowy to his skin tone. So when you see him, he looks very unnatural and very creepy.
He gives off like a Lou Ferrigno Hulk vibe.
Yeah.
Does he look like that guy in Sin City? What was his name? The yellow bastard or something like that.
I thought Sin City was black and white.
I don't know. I've
But he's
never
like the
seen
only
Sin
yellow
City.
character in Sin City.
Really? I don't remember. I tried to block it out. It's Robert Rodriguez. But you know what's weird? Total tangent. Robert Rodriguez directed the latest episode of Mandalorian. It's
Were you
called
a fan?
It's called The Tragedy. Man, the last 2 episodes of Mandalorian are like
Fire.
it's the best Star Wars since like 85, dude. It's like ridiculous.
Dude, this season,
How hard
this season of
Mandalorian is
Star
going
Wars
right now.
is so much better. Honestly, The Mandalorian on a whole is so much better than the entire new trilogy could ever even try to be. It's,
Yeah. And
even like the graphics look better, the practical sets look better. Like they put some real money into Mandalorian.
well, it doesn't look better than the new trilogy though.
I
Like,
don't know, man.
It looks, I mean, like the first season, you can tell it's like a little bit on a budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If
Second
nothing,
season,
just
though.
because of the amount of stuff they're adding, like they can't go all out. But I mean, it's definitely better written.
Yeah, the acting caliber is great. Like it's fan service and it's amazing.
It is. It's Star Wars for Star Wars fans. It gets real deep.
That's nice.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry.
What
Obligatory
a
Star Wars
tangent. We
talk.
got way off on
What a
it.
tangent. But yeah, it's like my favorite Robert Rodriguez thing now. That one episode of Star Wars that he did.
Well, I guess
Okay,
all
so
those
where are
people that
we at?
recommended him to you are right now.
Ugh. I want to vindicate these people. I want to vindicate anyone. Oh, but so 2019, there's not a lot of cast. We talked about Carrie, whatever. We've talked about the doctor from Saw. The only other actress or actor who is like recognizable to me is Imogen Poots,
Yeah.
who is the protagonist in 28 Weeks Later.
And the owner of a very unfortunate last name.
Yeah. How sad.
She was in Green Room, which I haven't seen.
Green Room.
Green Room's
highly
great.
recommend.
I need to watch that.
Oh yeah.
That's where
She's
she's
also-
CLE.
She's also in this movie
Oh,
called
we'll have to bring
Vivarium.
Marion for that one because it's a band movie.
Oh, if it's a movie about a band, you gotta get Marion.
Oh.
You know, speaking of which, if we do go that route, we should check out Frank. Have you guys seen Frank?
I'm looking at him right now.
Where Michael Fassbender's wearing that giant hat the whole time.
Oh yeah, I have seen Frank.
That movie's good. That's a fun
Good
time.
band movie.
But old Pootsy, I mean, it seems like she's made some bad calls.
Oh, that's the
lately.
one where he wears the head.
Yeah, the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
And it's got that guy from the new Star Wars movies. But anyway, man, this is a bummer. She should not have done this movie. I remember being a fan back in, whenever I saw 28 Weeks Later. Was it like 2007, 2008 or something? She does a good job there, but I mean, she does her best, I guess.
Can't win them all.
No one performs well in this movie because they're working with poop, or they're working with poots.
They're getting some very terrible direction, obviously, too. I think the director had done, directed one other thing of note, which was like an Into the Dark on Hulu. You know that series, Into the Dark? It's like a series of horror movies commissioned by Blumhouse that are just like one-offs, essentially. Yeah.
I've heard
So
about this, and I've heard like
this is
middling
essentially
things. I've heard,
a more funded one-off with Black Christmas name.
That's
So-
funny that you mentioned that too, because I think the director also did a segment of VHS. Which is another one of those like compilation horror movies. I didn't watch VHS, but
VHS is good. I've VHS.
I've heard that there's some that are like, what's the other one? ABCs of Death.
Yeah.
There was
that's
two
the
that
other
came
one.
out right around the same time. Ooh, Doppelganger, doppelstanker right there. VHS.
Hey, that'd be a good one, dude. VHS is great. I think even VHS 2 is pretty good too. But I haven't seen ABCs of Death yet.
I'm gonna go ahead and add that to the notes before we forget.
We got to double check the dates there, but that might be close enough to warrant an episode.
I just wanted to say really quick, when I watched this is my first time watching the 1974 Black Christmas. Actually, this year was my first time watching any of these. But
Same.
when I was watching the original Black Christmas, when they would show the scenes of Billy, and it would be obscured by a shadow or like a silhouette, the turtleneck he wears and everything just makes me think, his hair included, it's Tim, or is it Eric? It's Eric from Tim and Eric. You know what I mean?
Eric Warheim.
He looks exactly like Eric Warheim from Tim and Eric.
Like he's just gonna come out of the shadows with some fancy wine and some dope piece of cheese, just like, oh hey, I didn't know you were coming.
Yeah, in particular with the turtleneck, he looks like that classic meme of Eric Warheim just doing the mind explosion.
Yes, he does. That's so funny. I didn't make that connection. Well, I think in that movie they're trying to make a red herring out of the angry boyfriend about the abortion.
Peter, yeah.
Yeah, because Olivia Hussey doesn't want to give her entire life up to have this guy's baby, and he also seems like a pretentious douche.
Man, I love when she just doubles down too, when he's just like, you can still do all those things and be married to me, and she's like, I don't want to be married to you though.
Yeah, she just had to hit him with it. But yeah, he's supposed to be the killer. He's not.
And also, like, that dude straight up broke into their house. Like, that guy was sketchy.
And Olivia Hussey kills him too at the end in a very Romeo and Juliet fashion. Wink. But yeah, that's a bit of the red herring in that one. In 2006, there's two killers. It's Billy and his sister, right?
His sister daughter.
Yeah, his sister daughter.
There's a whole thing.
2006 is pretty messed up.
Yeah, so spoiled again. It, like, Billy's whole lore, he's like a family annihilator, and I was just thinking, like, wow, a family annihilation on Christmas. Where have I seen that before? Maybe in Covina, California, a suburb just outside Los Angeles.
In 1997, in 2019, the red herring is supposed to be this like sweet boy who's like, her boyfriend.
Is it Oscar Leeser?
We didn't know. We didn't say this on.
He's my sweet boy.
He's such a sweet boy. We didn't talk about this on the episode yet, or did we? Yeah, we did. Imogen Poots is date raped in the movie. Okay, trigger warning. I'm sorry, but
David, you've got to stop giving warnings after the event.
Well, it's too late. But the point is
that's
that
what I'm saying.
She takes him to court, and then the court finds him innocent. And they ignore the whole thing. So she's got to kind of struggle with this whole situation. And there's a big moment at the beginning where they rip off the scene from Mean Girls where they're singing a song together dressed as Mrs. Claus.
Are they also doing Jingle Bell Rock?
It's not Jingle Bell Rock. It's up on the housetop. And
solid.
It starts off, and at first I was like, why is Imogen Poots and this SJW girl performing this like kind of erotic song for all these, but it turns out that they change the lyrics to the song and make it like an accusatory thing, saying that he's like a rapist and this is what happened. He roofied me and he got away with it.
Nice.
And one of the
not
people
that he got away with it, but they called him
nice.
out on stage. Yeah.
Just to clarify,
the chutzpah of being able to call him out through song.
Someone in the audience records it too, and they put it on YouTube, and it goes viral, which causes the fraternity boys to be like, "You besmirched my name." They get real.
Do they challenge the girls to a duel?
I'm just trying to decide what offensive joke I want to go with, but I'm going to wait. I need to be a little more tactful here.
All right, I'm interested to see what you come up with.
Yeah, it's just these guys are jerks. They all went to school like on a swimming scholarship. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
They all went to like Coronado High School.
Well,
in El Paso.
Call them out.
Should we kind of talk? I know we kind of really went into like the spoils of 2006. Should we talk a little bit about the motivation behind 2019?
Yes,
like the motivation behind the killing.
Why don't you lead this off, Danny?
Yeah, what's going on there, man?
Oh man. Okay. So, not long ago, we said that Calvin Hawthorne was the founder of that university. Apparently, he had this big occult belief that was like really strong on like the power of men. Like that was a big part of it, was like the willpower of men is too strong to be trifled with. And
again, this is Jordan Peterson, like, you know, feeling himself and rubbing steaks all over his naked body.
Yeah. This is like ultra chauvinist. What was I gonna say? Anyways, so when they physically remove the bust from that university, apparently,
I'm sorry. It's because you put that picture, you put that meme, and I just noticed that you put it up. You put it up on the screen, and it's cracking me up now.
For those who can't see, I put up the Eric Wareheim mind blown explosion. Yeah, fantastic. Otherwise known as Billy from 1974.
Okay, I'm sorry for interrupting. Oh gosh.
Anyways, so when they remove the bust from the college, apparently it falls and black ooze starts to secrete from the bust, and this black ooze like gives them superpowers. It gives the men in the fraternity like super strength.
But it doesn't. You know what I mean? They say it does,
yeah.
But they're just regular guys.
It's just like mold. They just have like a mold problem.
No, they're brainwashed. And
they have a hazing where they like put it on each other and stuff, and it's just stupid.
And when they kill some of them later, they bleed black. They like ooze this black, oily kind of stuff.
And so the whole motivation behind it is like they got to show these dang women, because if women stand up, it weakens the power of the ooze.
Yes. And Jordan Peterson's like, oh, it's all about individualism. Oh.
This ooze doesn't sound as good as the ooze in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or as good as the ooze in Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's not.
This ooze sounds lame.
But this all culminates in a final standoff where they have to rescue one of the girls that's kidnapped or something like that. One of them forms a coup with like the fraternities and sells the other ones out.
A girl who he thought was dead earlier in the movie is not dead. And instead, she was collecting items from the sorority because they have to put an item that belongs to that girl on the altar. And then the spirit of Calvin Hawthorne will go into one of these boys, and they'll have the strength and power to kill this girl.
Does he go to that boy's soul?
A soul, yeah.
All these
and he
like
pays the troll
all
toll
these
to get
angry
there.
young men are like so concerned with their men's rights, and they're just trying super hard to get this Hawthorne guy to come inside them.
Yes, exactly. That's a perfect.
It's a weird motivation.
It is weird, and it's also like there's no power. Like the only thing in the movie where you see
not even the power of love.
Not even the power of love. There's this young gentleman who's interested in Imogen Poots, and he seems like a nice boy. And they kick it off, and you're supposed to think, is this guy really a bad guy? He's like the red herring of the 2019 movie. But then it turns out, no, he's just a good guy until the fraternity gets to him and brainwashes him.
Oh, man.
But don't worry, he's going to pull a Temple of Doom and like break out of the mind washing.
Well, that's nice.
Or brainwashing, I should say.
I thought you meant like his face was going to melt off because he chose the wrong cup.
He's going to rip a man's heart out. That's Last Crusade. Temple of Doom is the India one. But yes, exactly. But why did they even need to do any of this occult plot? Why couldn't it have just been a group of really disgusting sorority or fraternity brothers?
Because then they would have lost out on all the fraternity brothers going to go see their movies.
I guess so.
Darn.
But it's PG-13. You're only getting like 8th graders. That's who's going to your movie.
True.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here's the joke from earlier, and I wrote it down. I even told Frank earlier. 2019, here's my Hemingway. Here's my 6-word review. It's a very Brock Turner Christmas.
Oh.
That's exactly what that movie is.
It's all
those
a commentary
guys.
on Brock Turner.
Yeah.
Like, Frank, it all culminates with, like, a final showdown between the fraternity ooze men and, like, the SJW women. But all the women... Like, one of them is, like, gonna go against them all. And wouldn't you know it, behind them busts in that scene in the Avengers where, like, everyone, like, comes in from
all the Lady Avengers show up.
And they all have weapons. And they're
it's
all
like
just,
Michonne's
like,
there.
One of them has an art, like a bow. And it's, it's
Katniss
literally just,
Everdeen.
it's what's behind me. It's the girls get it done.
Yeah. Can we just, So Imogen Poots, they get attacked at their house with a couple of the other sorority girls.
All right.
And a few of them die, including the feisty Latina girl. She dies in the attic. But these men all had weapons on them. Like, so presumably that's where the bow came from, I guess. But when Imogen Poots leaves, she takes a snow shovel with her, and it's not even a metal snow shovel.
It's like plastic.
It's a plastic snow shovel. And she's like, I'm going to go beat these guys up. I'm like, what are you doing? And then when those girls show up at the end of the movie,
They didn't have like a knife at the house or something?
one of them's got a tiny menorah. That's what one of them's fighting with. One of them has, no joke, a snow sled. And there's a part where she stabs someone with the metal thing underneath the snow sled.
Well, that's kind of funny.
It is funny, but it doesn't come off exactly the right way in this
Peter
movie.
Dinklage kind of does the same thing in Game of Thrones. He like smashes that dude's face in with the shield.
That's true. That's true.
That was the first scene of Game of Thrones that I had ever seen before. That was my introduction. And I was like, what is this?
You know what? This part of 2019, though, I do kind of dig because there's a couple cool shots where there's some really good lighting. Like the house is only lit with Christmas lights that are hung up inside. So you got old Pootsy walking around, and then her face is like all green from the lights, and it turns to red. And there's some interesting stuff there. It's like the only interesting thing in the movie artistically. It really is. And I just also got to say, they're just some blatant ripoffs. So there's already the Mean Girl scene where if you watch this scene, it's like they're even going so far as to steal the choreography from Mean Girls when they're putting on the show. And not to mention that, like, in that scene, Imogen Poots replaces a girl who's too drunk to go on stage at the last minute, but she knows all the words for some reason. And then all the dancing and choreography. But then also the song is written to be from her perspective, and she wasn't even going to be part of the group to begin with.
Can you be sure that she wasn't some emergency, what do they call it, understudy?
Well, she doesn't want to perform because they're at the fraternity house of the guy who raped her.
Oh.
So it's like she doesn't even want to be on stage, and she's shut down. Like at this point in the movie, she's dealing with that trauma, and she doesn't want to put herself out there for anybody. So it's completely out of the question if she would have, wanted to be on the stage performance. She just goes at the last second because she doesn't want her friends to get disqualified, I guess. I don't know. It's a stupid talent show.
Do they have to win like $10,000 to save their house or something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
It'll save the rec center.
They're going to get kicked out of the university unless they win this, unless they win this challenge from the dean. But there's also another scene that they totally rip off a much more interesting horror movie. Have you guys ever seen Exorcist 3?
No.
Yes, I know this ripoff scene that you're talking about.
There's a super scary scene. It's one of the most famous jump scares. This lady's in a hospital, and she's checking these doors. It's a long scene where she's checking these doors, and then when she turns her back to the door and starts walking the other way, this person comes out with these giant scissors, and kills her. And there's this really
a
quick
big blaring noise.
Yeah, and there's a big noise too. Well, in 2019 Black Christmas, the Jewish sister is looking for the cat, just like in 74. And she's checking the doors. It's the same shot, static shot from a distance. She walks to this door, and it's framed exactly the same way too. When she turns her back and walks away, one of the guys in these, they look like the Death Eaters from Harry Potter.
Hooded.
It's even the same mask. It looks like it could be Lucius Malfoy. But he comes from behind her and chokes her with Christmas lights. I mean, the Christmas lights is a nice touch, but it's like...
But it's a blatant ripoff.
That's nice. That's how Billy kills his mom in the 2006 movie.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a blatant ripoff of a better horror movie.
Mm-hmm. And they do it a couple times where they're just taking these scenes from other movies, and they're not doing it as cool as Tarantino would. You know what I mean?
No. But I mean, that also, another scene steal, like I said, is straight up. It's pretty much the Avengers Endgame,
it is
scene.
You're totally
at the
right.
end of it, where they all show up from.
I'm pretty sure the door doesn't even open. It's like a portal opens up, and all the girls walk through it, and then Doctor Strange is back there. He's like, ooh.
He's doing some magic with his hands.
Yeah.
I mean, to sum it up on a whole, skip Black Christmas 2019. If I could have just watched 2006, would have been a much better experience.
You could have, Danny. It's very easy, simple process. Just don't pay attention 100% during our meetings, and you can go on wild adventures just like I do.
My goddamn critical thinking skills.
We have like an iPhone note that we all share, and I'm pretty sure. Oh, you know what? Okay, to be fair, we didn't put the years. Oops.
This emoji.
But yeah, to what Danny was saying, I agree 100%. Hard pass on 2019. It's a waste of time. And even though the Christmas horror genre is not that big, there's many more movies you can watch before you get here. Many more movies.
Rare exports.
Rare exports, yeah.
A Christmas horror story.
Krampus, Silent Night, Deadly Night. The other two Black Christmas movies.
The old Jack Frost movie. The Killer Snowman one.
Yeah, that.
Ooh, another doppelstinker, Jack Frost and Jack Frost. No, those didn't come out the same year. But
wow, one of
very different premises,
more like a movie pairing.
Both have Michael Keaton. No, I'm just joking. So what's your recommendation on 2006, Frank?
It's a watch. It's going to be a yes for me, dog.
We've been doing this podcast for a while now, and I think it's the first time anyone's made that joke. I'm pretty sure.
We were due for it.
I gotta say too, 2006, it feels like a 2000s horror movie. It's got that same flavor as like Final Destination. There's a lot of like teens swearing at each other and stuff. If you're into that kind of thing, it's totally worth it. I really like 2006. And I think if you watch Black Christmas and you're just like, you know what, I want a little bit more. Maybe you like true crime kind of stuff.
Yeah, honestly, it'll scratch the itch. You get the whole like backstory, the mystery. You get an opportunity to kind of like start filling in the gaps as it goes along. Highly recommend.
You mean they make you use your brain?
Yeah.
They don't just like hammer you over the head with what they're trying to say.
Yeah, and it's not even like a cerebral movie. Like you probably still turn it off and still enjoy it just as much.
74, I would say, is almost, if you're a horror fan, I think it's like required viewing. I think if you're really into the horror genre,
that's fair. You get the calls coming from inside the house.
Oh yes, man. So, that's like the gag, right?
That's probably one of the first instances of that too.
Yeah,
in a horror movie.
And just what it means to the slasher genre. I think if you like horror, you got to check it out. I would say it's like probably my favorite Christmas horror movie. I really like Krampus, but for a different reason. Like Krampus isn't scary to me. It's just fun and a good time. Whereas Black Christmas, even all these years later, man, I think it's still a pretty alarming and startling movie, especially if you've never seen it before.
Stuff to it. Yeah, it's this was my first time watching 74, and it's gonna hold up. It's gonna be something to watch every year or so. Definitely to put it on my short list of like Christmas horror movies to that are near and dear.
Yeah, and you just got to check out 2006 when you get a chance, Danny. It's definitely worth watching.
Yeah, there's still plenty of December left.
It's fun on a bun. Well, I guess it's time to kick it over to. Well, I'm sorry. Hang on. It's not time yet.
Well, it depends on which time you're about to kick it over to.
Okay, it's time to kick it on over to Frank for the stats. Give it to us, Stat Daddy.
Oh yeah. Wow. How remiss. So stat-wise, let's go ratings first. For ratings, for 2019, this is what I had it left to because Danny mentioned how low they were and I had to go back and double check, and it's probably here on the recording me going, oh, God damn, because 2019's got a 3.3 out of 10 on IMDb, a 38% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 49% Metacritic score, which is what they call in the industry pretty garbage numbers.
49's pretty high.
49's pretty high, but 3.3 out of 10 ain't great.
That's a zone. That's a Spice World territory.
38%. That's not good.
Each one of those scores that you just named are way higher than I would rate it for sure.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of low numbers, 2006 Black Christmas, 4.6 out of 10 on IMDb, not terrible. Rotten Tomatoes, 14%.
What?
Yikes. Okay. 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes be like that sometimes, though.
It do.
It do be.
It do be do.
And then we got apparently just like, you know, the best sibling of the bunch. There's always a best one. Shout out. You know who you aren't. Black Christmas 1974 has got a 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb, and a 71% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's a solid score for a slasher. 7.2 on IMDb for a slasher. That might as well be 10.
Yeah, right.
That's as
There's
high
a
as
little
it's gonna
more
get.
scrutiny on IMDb. There's a little more scrutiny on the reviews. I'd say like Rotten Tomato reviews are mostly user generated too, so less reliable.
Yeah, you got to look at both of them, right? Because there's an aggregate of critic and there's an aggregate of just people. I don't use Rotten Tomatoes all that much. At least I think that's what it is. But before, not to cut you off on your stats, there's just something funny I noticed yesterday.
What'd you notice?
When I looked these movies up on Amazon, I searched Black Christmas, and then all three of them were lined up, and it's like 74, 4.5 stars. 2006, 3.5 stars. And then it was like 2019, 2.5 stars. It was like every time it came back, it just dropped a star. And I was like, yeah, this is pretty accurate.
Remakes, what are you going to do? Box office numbers. Let's talk about the numbers that matter. The numbers that supply huge parties with hookers and cocaine. Budget for 2019, $5 million estimated. We had an opening weekend of $4.2 million, gross US $10 million, and a worldwide gross of $18 million.
Sounds like a 70s movie. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
right. No, this is 2019.
Oh, it's 2019?
Yeah, this is 2019.
That is
Oh, no.
so bad.
Oh, God. No.
Those are all really
We'll
bad
keep
numbers.
Going back further in the past, the 2006 version of this movie came in with a budget of $9 million. Had an opening weekend of $3.7 million, so you got to be sweating a little bit. But gross US, $16.2 million, with a worldwide gross of $21.5 million. Not bad.
Okay.
Not terrible. My numbers on the 74 film aren't as in-depth because IMDb wanted me to sign up for IMDb Pro, and I was like, nah, get out of here. But I do know that they had a budget
But
of
then you can learn everyone's
$620,000.
If you sign up, you can learn everyone's zodiac sign, Frank.
Oh, there you go.
That would sound really interesting if I cared even a little bit. So out of our $620,000 budget, we had a box office success of $4.1 million for the 1974 film.
That's not too bad. That's a pretty decent success.
That's 70s money, baby.
Yeah, that's 70s money.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
gotta
pretty
add-
controversial, too. That's the other thing. Like, it wasn't critically endorsed by any means. And there was definitely people at the time who were like, this shouldn't be being made. This isn't Christmas. You got to imagine the United States in the 70s and how they feel about Christmas.
Oh, you
and
mean the
Christianity.
war on Christmas?
And it's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was outrage, but it's like looking back on it as far as like in the vein of like a slasher film or a horror movie, it's not bad at all,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so at all. I think this is a pretty good success here, I would say. And it's definitely a cult film. You know what I mean? It's one of those movies that has just grown more. Well, now, shall we kick it over to character limit X extended?
Wow.
Extended.
Wow. Good tie-in, David.
Thank you.
I suppose this week on Character Limit Extended, the segment where we talk just a little bit more about the movie we talked a little bit about just a week ago.
Oh, yeah. That's sounding tighter and tighter.
One day we'll
Hit it,
get there.
Frank.
One day it'll
No,
be
I think
complete.
it's nearly there.
think
Rare
we're there,
Exports, A Christmas Story,
A Christmas Tale.
A Christmas Tale,
Yeah.
A Finnish Tale.
The movie's from Finland, everybody.
Isn't that weird?
How many Finnish movies have you seen? Probably not a lot.
Featuring
Just one.
the
It's this
evil
one.
Santa from hell. Sinky, Finland.
Nailed it.
So Rare Exports, this was new for everybody.
Yeah.
Is this a Krampus movie? I'm confused about I feel like I don't really
is
know
not.
what Krampus is now. I
It's
thought
not a Krampus movie.
It's not, right? Krampus is
No.
like a separate entity.
Well, they never make it clear in this movie. They don't mention Krampus by name.
Yeah.
But they're saying that this evil being was disguised as Santa later in lore to like be used as part of lore or something
okay,
like
okay.
that. That's kind of like the duality. It's like it's actually Krampus, but it's Santa at the same time. So
we get a look at that guy. We see the horns that make you think Krampus.
Yo,
I
I
think
love that they kept those horns as a trophy too. That's so
I think
dope.
that's my biggest qualm with the movie. I love the movie, but I think my biggest qualm was that we never got to see the thing get thawed. We never got to see Santa.
Yeah, that feels like maybe it was a budgetary thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, it could have been like a safety measure. Like a lot of the times a horror movie can drop the ball when you reveal the monster. You know what I mean? That could make or break a movie.
Lot more
and you
mystery
keep that
and
thing
not
in a
doing
big
it.
block of ice and just have some dope horn sticking out of it. It's pretty easy to pull off.
Yeah, the mystery sells well, I think.
Yeah.
Because we know, like, so if you haven't seen this and you haven't listened to our review, basically, you know, again with an Indiana Jones reference, but it's like the Nazis from Indiana Jones are digging up Santa on some mountain.
But I don't even think this guy was doing it for nefarious reasons. I think he was just like a nerd
Research.
who had
He was
like
like a Santa
a
fan.
history boner about Santa.
Yeah.
Or maybe he wanted to save them from Santa. Who knows?
Maybe.
Or maybe he wanted to unleash him on the world. I don't know.
Probably.
But we got
That's the
this
best part.
Finnish family. It's a father and son. And basically, you know, something's let out of that ice and it attacks this little village. And we think at first that this old man is Santa, this naked old man who shows up is like an evil Santa. But then a big reveal, he's really just an elf.
He's just
Boy, I
an
love
elf.
that red herring. That was
Yeah.
good. That fake cell
was
was good
good.
because
There's a
you were
red
just watching
herring
it, you're just like,
disguised
is
as
this
a
it?
gray naked old man.
Great naked old man. Yeah.
And then I love the little touches of like he you know, he's really like low energy until he starts smelling like gingerbread or like he starts smelling like a child
Yeah.
nearby and the elves just like kick up and they get all aggro if like the kids nearby.
Yeah, the elves are like, I don't know, they're like the witch in Left 4 Dead. They just like sit there all like like limpless until they're triggered.
Definitely cool.
There's someone
Obviously-
out listening to this right now who's like, oh man. I
Along
hate
with
the
the
witch.
spoiler warning for this movie. I mean, we've already spoiled a lot about it. There's also going to be an old man donger warning because there's a lot of old man dong in this movie.
So much wrinkly penis.
I don't know if you can even count it. And then
You
I'm
could. You
assuming,
could pause it and count each one.
I'm assuming there's a lot
There's
of green
even, like,
screen,
CGI
but some of
ones
it
when they're,
doesn't
like,
look
running.
it. There's a lot of these old men just like naked out in the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those fins are hardy, dude. They did that. You know, they were out there.
The part that kind of lost me was like the ending a bit. Like they're in the helicopter and there's they look like World War Z zombies. There's like a swarm of naked old men crossing over
That's
the
what I
ice.
said. They had CGI dongers just like running through the hills.
Yeah, pretty wacky.
Also
The
wacky
ending's a little
choice.
weird.
The epilogue that we get is like they're using all these elves, and this is where we get the title of the movie from. They start a company called Rare Exports, and they trained all these elves to be like mall Santas, essentially, is what it seems like. They sell them the authentic Santas for exorbitant amounts of monies, but in the training, like they're teaching them not to like kill people. You know what I mean? They have these like little boy dolls, but they're teaching them to like pet these kids. And that's probably
Really
not the
weird.
right move.
It's really strange.
I've never seen a mall Santa pet a child before. And if I do see one, I'm calling the cops.
How is this plan even working? Like, first off,
How is it
I feel like
lucrative?
you shouldn't sell these things. They're like, they could kill someone.
I don't know
I mean?
what liability laws are like in Finland.
Who knows?
But also,
then also,
it's like,
who are they
what's the market?
contacting? This,
Yeah,
like,
exactly,
Finnish-
like,
Somebody
what's the
in
market for these
Zimbabwe,
Santas?
you know, somebody's buying one of those.
I guess, yeah, third world countries will buy these up, even though they're dangerous. But, I mean, we got to keep our Santa jobs here in the U.S.
Yeah,
You know, we can't just
true.
export it. They're
I'm
just
tired-
undercutting them.
I'm tired of seeing Finland take all of our mall Santa jobs. I'm sick and tired of it. We got to build that wall between us and Finland. However,
anyone else
logistically that has to happen.
Did anyone else get those sweet The Thing vibes when they were, like, bringing up that thing from the ice? And,
Dude, so heavy. The whole like beginning of the movie, I was like, is this the thing? Are we going to do the thing right now? Because I'm
I was
down.
stoked.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. It's also got, man, what was that other movie I was thinking of when I was watching this? In a weird way, it was kind of like, it's The Dad. The Dad is reminding me of somebody, and I can't quite put it. I had it earlier, and I've lost it.
Is it Big Daddy?
No, it's not Big Daddy.
Does he remind you of Adam Sandler and Big Daddy?
It's just how like aggressive and angry the dad is, like without wanting to show any emotion towards the son at all.
Is it the one dad from Friday Night Lights who tapes the football to his son's
Yeah, you know what?
hands?
You're probably right. I'm probably thinking of Tim McGraw on Friday Night Lights. I watched that not that long ago, like a couple weeks ago. Michelle had never seen it before, and I was like, you know what? This is the only football movie I like. Because spoiler alert, they lose at the end. There's nothing inspirational there. They take that L. Jeez. But anyway,
Fantastic.
it's like, remember the Titans are like, let's be pen pals over the summer, friends. And then in Friday Night Lights, they're just like criticizing each other. They're like, they don't even like each other, the football team. They're all just there to get that win, and they don't. Oh, what a great movie. That's a Christmas movie right there.
Shout out to the super dope little snowmobile in this movie. Like, I can't stop thinking about how awesome that tiny little snowmobile is, dude.
Every time we've talked about this movie, you've brought it up.
Yeah,
like,
I wanted to make
snowmobile.
I wanted to make sure I went on record about it because so dope. It looks so Soviet too. Is I think one of the coolest appeals about it. It's so square.
Speaking of which,
I wonder
this
if
is
many Finns get snowmobiles. You know what I mean? Like instead of bikes, they get their first snowmobiles.
Yeah,
that makes sense. This is a ignorant American comment, but it wasn't until this movie that I was like, man, Finnish sounds a lot like Russian. Like I could have not told you, I couldn't have described to you what the Finnish language sounded like. But then I was like, oh yikes, is this?
They share
Russian?
a border.
I was so confused. But I got over it.
Also, Finnish, from an ignorant American point of view, is very hard to read, or looks very, very hard to read. There's a lot of extra letters in there. He's like combing through one of the books, and I was just like, oh my God, look at all those umlauts and extra letters for one word.
What is that shape? Yeah. It's like another Russian thing. It's pretty crazy. You know, I just gotta say, I really like the movie. I would definitely recommend it. Again, if you're into horror Christmas, there's not a large catalog. It's a good one. Although I do just want to point out, we picked this movie because we were like checking out lists of Christmas movies, and it was like the number one Krampus movie. I think Krampus is better, man. I think it's got more style. I think the monster Krampus is creepier.
Yeah.
And I just love that, you know, it's because in a way it's kind of a spoof of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, like lightly.
Very same vibe.
And I just connect with that 100%. Like it feels
agree.
like My Family at Christmas or something. But great movie.
I think I'll watch this movie again. This is a really good movie. It's got like a bit of goofiness at the end that just goes off the wall. There's like this like cheesy, like cheeky little goofiness throughout the whole movie, and it's great, and it really sells it, and there's good character development, and the acting's awesome, and it does have a good mystery that unfolds, and then at the end it gets a little wacky. Like it gets a little bit too weird in the final act. But,
it's almost like Shaun of the Dead, the ending. The ending's very Shaun of the Dead.
The humor is probably one of my favorite parts for me. That's like what's going to keep it in my Christmas rotation for sure. Most notably for me, when they try to go sell what they think is Santa to the guy who was excavating him in the first place. And he tells them in English, like, so you're, who are you? Like, who are you people? Where are my men? And the guy answers back in his broken English, yes, we are men. Let's make a deal.
Yeah, that is good.
There's so much really good stuff like that. One thing that I noticed when I was just like combing through IMDb when I was watching it, it's an original story it's a writer director, and the concept they came up with, it was him and his brother who came up with the concept. His brother's name is Yuso, which is what they named the like older kid who drives the snowmobile around. And I just thought that was cute.
That is
I thought it was a cute little fun fact. Name a character after your brother. I'll do that one day, write a story, have a
he dies.
Character named Idiot.
Yeah, who dies like really bad savagely.
Yeah.
Not even savagely. He gets like a minor cold and then it takes him.
He somehow injures himself so hard from putting food that's too hot into his mouth too soon that it kills him.
Well, that's great. I hope John listens to these.
He drinks like a gallon of juice and explodes.
And he has wacky juice dreams.
Juice boy.
He just goes into another realm. Hey, so before we kick it on over to, you know, getting out of the movie talk, I did want to spring a question on you all.
And you waited till winter to spring a question on us?
Exactly. Well, I was just thinking, you know, this is our last Christmas podcast.
Ever?
This year, anyways, maybe ever. Do you guys have any recommendations? Maybe something new you've seen this Christmas season, or if not something new, what's something that you got to watch every year?
Just Friends.
Just Friends. Yeah, that's a great answer, man.
Just Friends is a great one.
That movie's hilarious.
I got Raven to watch this once with me, and she said she'll never watch it again. But it was just what was it? I forget the name of it every time. I confuse it with another one.
National Treasure
with Andrew Lincoln, and I feel it in my...
You do always forget this one. It's Love Actually.
Love Actually. I always forget it. I mix it up with The Holiday here and there all the time.
How funny.
In my head.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean,
is that the one where Queen Latifah has cancer or something?
Yeah, that's The Holiday.
Or is that Last Holiday?
That's Last Holiday.
With Queen Latifah? Is that
yeah. Holiday's like Jude Law and Jack Black, and I think like Kate Winslet and someone else.
Huh.
Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that one I have to watch every year. I have to watch Jingle All the Way. I have to watch Home Alone at least once. But as far as anything new for this year, this is probably this and Black Christmas 2019 have probably been the only new things that I've seen, except for 1974's Black Christmas. I'll recommend that.
Ooh, that's a nice one. Watch it. Just to answer my own question, this is a bit unfair. I've thought about it longer. My go-to, like I must watch it every year. It's A Very Sunny Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's not even a full movie. It's just like a double-length episode, but man, it's tradition, and I try to wait till
Christmas season
Christmas.
isn't over until you watch This Isn't Always Sunny Christmas.
Until you throw rocks at trains.
True.
Is that the one with Charlie's mom and Santa Clauses?
Yes,
Wonderful.
It is. Yeah, it's a TV classic. And something that I've seen 1,000 times but never really watched at Christmas time until this year is The Godfather. Man, I just finished watching Godfather 1 and 2. I forget that Christmas occurs in both movies. It is even the ending of one of the movies. But also it's just like a story so much about family that it gets you that familial Christmas theme. And man, I think it's going to be my new Christmas tradition. I'm just going to watch The Godfather every Christmas and cuddle up with a horse's head in my bed.
Sounds gross.
It is gross. A lot of blood.
Sounds illegal.
Well, I think, thank you for your time and your questions. I think it's finally time, though, for... Oh, that is interesting.
TM.
Ooh. Can we? Anyway.
/HTML.
HTML. Okay, so we got a double story for you guys. I almost want to scrap both these stories and hit you with a third story that I heard about today.
What?
I'll just give you this one real quick. Alfred Molina is joining the cast of Spider-Man 3. It's official. And if you're not sure about that, he's Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire.
Okay.
What? It seems like they're going full steam ahead on the live-action Spider-Verse movie.
They're going balls out on Spider-Man, man.
I'm so excited. Anyways, here's the real stories we want to talk about. There's two huge stories that came out this last couple weeks, specifically about the film world. Here's our first headline here. Elliot Page, Juno star, shares transgender identity. This is a CNN article. On Tuesday, the Oscar-nominated star of movies like Juno and X-Men Days of Future Past, everyone remembers her in that movie, or him, sorry,
Yikes.
shared with fans that they are transgender and identify as non-binary, a term used to describe a person whose gender identity is neither man nor woman. Let me skip ahead a little bit here. This is a quote from Elliot here. I feel lucky to be writing this, to be here, to have arrived at this place in my life. Actor formerly known as Ellen Page wrote on Instagram, I feel overwhelming gratitude for the incredible people who've supported me along this journey. I can't begin to express how remarkable it feels to finally love who I am enough to pursue my authentic self. Page said their pronouns are he and they. So I'm sure you guys heard about this. I mean, I feel like it would have been hard to miss.
I did hear about
Definitely.
it. It was hard to miss.
It's interesting that they said from Juno and X-Men's Days of Future Past.
Weird choices.
Because they were trying to make the Gen Zs like realize who she is? But why didn't they just say like the Umbrella Academy?
Yeah,
like
Umbrella Academy, I feel like should replace X-Men. I mean, yeah, Elliot Page in the X-Men movies, to my understanding, he's in 2, X3, and Days of Future Past. And in both movies, not a particularly big role. Right. I mean, barely in Days of Future Past, but Umbrella Academy, yeah, I think this is someone who's a little out of the times. You know what I mean?
But yeah, amazing for them. You know what I mean? That's a great
congrats.
story.
It makes
this is kind of like the feeling that I got when Laura Jane Grace came out.
Yeah.
From Against Me, you know, you know, I had known him for so long as someone else, but to be completely acquainted with their new identity is really interesting too. And hopefully down the road, the rest of America and the rest of the world is more acquainted with Elliot Page. Like it'll just be a thing like, oh, you know, they chose Elliot Page a long time ago.
And you know what else? Transgender Dysphoria Blues is a fire album.
So dope.
So good.
So good. That's a great Against Me album. Everyone highly recommend. Hey, this is kind of a question for more. Well, no, Frank is caught up. What do you all think this is going to mean for Umbrella Academy? Do you think Vanya is going to mimic real life Elliot Page?
Oh, interesting.
Or would
That's
Vanya still
Netflix
continue?
It would be a very Netflix thing to do to write that in there.
It would. They're probably foaming at the mouth. But
yeah, you know,
like,
they're
oh my God, we needed a transgender person.
and they already
Perfect.
this year made the character Vanya lesbian.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Danny. We missed the little chunk of what you just said there.
No, I was just saying, like you're saying, Netflix was probably foaming at the mouth at the chance to do this. They're like, oh my God, we needed a transgender. Here we go. Bam.
Oh, great. Now we don't have to make Luther transgender next season. How exciting.
Yeah, that's really the rewrite they're having to do. They're having to like change who the transgender character is.
I mean, it should have been
Klaus.
Hello,
right?
Goodbye. That would have been a good one.
I would hope that they don't write it that way because it's not faithful to the source material, but then also I would imagine that Elliot Page probably wouldn't have a problem with playing female.
No, I don't think so either.
know?
This is a bit different,
It's called
right?
acting.
Yeah, it's acting. So I think it's not the same as maybe like a Caitlyn Jenner thing or like Against Me is aforementioned. So I'm kind of curious. Honestly, I'm really just mostly curious. Have we had an actor of this level of fame who's gone through, who's recognized a different gender? I don't think so.
I don't believe so, no.
Like we have like Laverne Cox and stuff like that from Orange is the New Black, but nothing, especially someone who was this established beforehand. Mm-hmm. So very curious. And I think here on the channel, I speak for everyone, but we got nothing but love for Elliot Page. Congratulations. This is exciting news.
Yeah.
And if you're angry about this, it's your problem, man.
Punch yourself in your stupid face.
Yeah, it's nobody else's problem but yours.
Go find yourself a safe space.
Yeah. Any shout outs to big Elliot Page roles? Any favorites for you guys?
What's that? I lost it. Sorry.
No, you're good. Podcasting in the Zoom world. Any big Elliot Page roles that you really enjoy? Anything noteworthy?
Juno and that one X-Men.
I mean, she kills it as Vanya. You know.
I'm gonna say I can't believe you guys aren't feeling that. Maybe you've forgotten. I don't know. Hard Candy, man, with Patrick Wilson.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope. She commands that whole movie.
Yes, dude, that movie's fire.
Yeah.
So if you're in the mood to celebrate some Elliot Page and maybe you haven't seen Hard Candy, now just like serious content warning on that movie. That movie's kind of tough. There's some intense things to go through.
Very mature themes going on in there.
Yeah, if you don't mind some dark sexual themes and like abuse stuff, it's a great movie.
But it'll all be worth it in the end.
Isn't that also with Night Owl? Is a Night Owl?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He even brings the guitar. He plays some Elvis in the movie.
Oh yeah.
He fixes her car. He makes everybody breakfast. It's a whole thing.
I got pancakes.
He finds some spooky ghosts.
Let me teach you how to swim. Anyway, yeah, some good stuff. Weirdly enough, I watched Juno like 3 weeks ago, like right before this news came out. I saw Juno a few days before, And it was just like, Michelle was like, you want to watch Juno? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's check. I haven't seen this since
I'm gonna
high
have to
school.
rewatch it again. It's been a minute. Also, like a solid Michael Cera role.
Yeah. Charming movie. Still
And
holds
BJ
up.
Skinner.
I would feel like that movie is way too uplifting for you to like, David.
It's super sad. Like Jennifer Garner's husband leaves. You know what I mean? Like Jason Bateman's a scumbag in that movie, and I love it. It's a great role for him.
God, that man plays a great scumbag. He's so good at it.
And this is weird too. I don't mind romantic movies. I can get behind, Michael Cera and Juno coming together at the end. I can't get behind like inspirational, like let's band together and overcome. Nah, I'm not down for that.
Unless it's World War II.
Unless it's World War II. But even then, very sad. All right, one more quick headline here. December 5th, 2020. Again, news I'm sure you all have heard, but we got to talk about it a bit. All the new Warner Brothers movies coming to HBO Max in 2021, including Matrix 4 and The Suicide Squad.
Cray.
And I am so glad to have HBO Max. It validates my subscription.
Here's just a little bit from the article. COVID-19 pandemic has touched the lives of every person, every industry on the planet. Yes, we know this. We live in the world. After nearly a year of shuffling release dates for some of its biggest properties and pushing release dates back time and time again, they've come up with a revolutionary model of releasing movies in 2021 on HBO Max the same day they enter domestic theaters. This model will be a game changer moving forward and will soon get its first major test when Warner Brothers brings Wonder Woman 1984 to HBO Max on Christmas Day, the same day it drops into theaters around the world. And just like with the long-awaited superhero blockbuster, all of the new Warner Bros. Movies coming to the streaming service in 2021 will be available domestically for 1 month upon the day of their theatrical release, giving subscribers plenty of time to catch these upcoming movies. I also have a list of movies that maybe I can read them off in a little bit. To me, my question was, are they going to pull a Disney Plus where you got to pay another $20?
Yeah,
I bet.
That was my concern. They haven't made that clear yet.
The language of this article makes it seem like no, but
and I'm hoping they don't, because part of my view on it is they need the subscribers. I know that HBO Max has been hurting, and Warner Brothers in general, and they've been like giving it away with like new AT&T purchases or like new T-Mobile signups. They're like trying to get people back on HBO Max, and I think part of that is because HBO Max isn't available on other devices. It's not available on Roku right now. It's not available on like maybe Xbox or some smart TVs and stuff. However, the old HBO app is, and I think the old HBO through Prime, you can like buy those. Those are available and stuff. But like I really would prefer not to spend $20 on top of the $15 I'm spending a month to see that.
I'm really confused about the HBO Max thing and the HBO streaming service. I didn't even know they were separate things until like a month ago, which I don't think is good. Like
apparently they won't be.
It's a weird business plan to like split your streaming service. I think it's a phase out.
Yeah, like there's a lot of communication.
They are they're getting it on different devices, and then once it's on all devices, it's only HBO Max at that point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's got cool stuff.
I feel like they're going to have to charge people. I don't see how they're going to make, like, imagine how much Wonder Woman 1984 costs. Or like Godzilla versus King Kong, or that Dune movie coming out.
And if they're not making boatloads of money on these WB movies, how are they going to get like good people to work on them? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's been a lot of the backlash. Like, I know even today, Christopher Nolan released a statement saying that he was pretty pissed about it because obviously he's an auteur, and he works for like creating things in IMAX and with giant picture to be played on the screen and stuff. And you're not going to get the return on investment, and it's probably going to, like you're saying, stave people away from working with you. I mean, however, they have contracts with like filmmakers and stuff that keep them coming to Warner Brothers and all that. But I think part of the problem is that, or what they're planning to solve it with is, I know they're not going to allow trial subscriptions once those are, I think they're stopping trial subscriptions after December. So they're like, sense. No, we know this movie's on here. You have to pay for at least 1 month for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Smart.
Which I understand. You can't just like give away a movie with a trial subscription. But I don't know. I'm hoping there's not an extra fee on top of it. I also heard that this is going to be a temporary move, quote unquote, where they're waiting until like pandemic lets up. If nationwide, if you're able to go back to theaters by the end of the year, they might just like halt it, and like things like Matrix 4, which is like slated for Christmas next year, might just go to the theaters. But the question comes up where it's like, is this Pandora's box? Are you essentially just opening it up? It's going to be the greatest thing ever, and people aren't going to want to go back to the theaters in the numbers that they did before.
That's interesting. It also depends on like what's the timeline on this vaccine. Like earlier this week, we have Britain is testing out they're giving it out to people in England. So how far behind are we? Joe Biden saying in the first 100 days he's gonna give out 100 million vaccines, is what he was saying.
Yeah, it's tough to say. Like, we got 20 million, and then the Trump administration just turned down something like another 50 million as of today. Pfizer was going to give us that. The Trump administration just said, nah. And I think they want to just make it hard for the Biden transition.
Interesting.
That sounds
which
about
is
right.
At the expense of people dying. So very on message with Trump. But I've heard officials, at least from what I've been watching on the news, and I think even Fauci, and I can't remember who's the Health and Human Services. I think Alex Azar. I can't remember. I was on an Axios interview, but he was saying that he believes that everyone, you and me, Joe Public, will be able to get at least the first vaccine at a Walgreens or a CVS by like March or April. They think that most of the country will be vaccinated in general by June or July.
I mean, if that's the way things go, I could see them bailing out of this, because just like bottom line, they're going to make more money having people go to the theater.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So
it's the only place they can access it at this point. And I think it's going to show a lot of problems because this is piracy heaven.
Oh, yeah. As soon as they put it out, it's going to be the easiest thing to pull. Although, to be fair, I think on a theatrical release movie, it usually takes them like a week or two until they get you know what I mean? It's like not too long to wait. But this is going to be like day one.
Oh, look at like your device that you had, like an Elgato or something. I'm sure someone has like a high dollar device that you could just grab with the screen grab of what's going on.
Yeah, someone who knows way more than me can pull that off. Like there's some copyright protection on Elgato, but there's got to be one, and there's got to be some program. You know what I mean? There's a way.
I'm sure you could program a Raspberry Pi
to like jailbreak your Gato.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
interesting.
So it's not a very viable model. I know that like Apple TV and stuff has done, like, I've seen new releases once the pandemic started that goes straight to Apple TV, and it's $19.99. You just watch it there one time, which is cheaper than me going to the movies, to be honest. And it's just another reason for me to invest, and I'm going to buy a big old TV because I'm stoked to watch it at home.
Speaking of investment, I bought some stock in AMC Entertainment. I figured the stock is like historically low,
and it's going to go up.
It's going to go up if this, now if this is like the new way movies are, then no, it's going to go down, and I wasted some money. But if it does kick back around, I'll keep you all posted.
Well, there's one chain that's supposedly on its last leg, and I can't remember which one it is. It might be Cinemark or AMC.
It's AMC, and it's the one I bought stock in. I decided, you know what, if I'm going to play it, let's play it hard.
What did you buy it on? Was it on Robinhood?
No, I'm buying it through Cash App. Code word. No, I'm just joking. We're not sponsored by Cash App.
Not a sponsor.
But hashtag goals. But a week, earlier when this article came out, the stock did go down, but it's coming back up. So we'll see. I'm definitely curious, man. Hopefully I don't lose a bunch of money. I'm just kind of experimenting in the market.
It's a fun experiment.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit more exciting than it does in Grand Theft Auto when you're using your own money.
David.
Definitely a bit harder.
That was interesting.
Oh, it was, David.
Thank you.
Oh, they were.
What a chunky, interesting segment. Okay, so let's end this thing, everybody. It's Peeps and Predicts time. It's the show it's the segment where we take two people, real or fictional, and we put them together in these hypothetical arguments. And who argues about them? Is us. It's you boys. And let's figure out what exactly is happening here.
The Thirsty Threesome would officially like to welcome you to the Brendan Fraser portion of the podcast.
Very
excellent. All right, today's peeps are astronauts turned drillers versus drillers turned astronauts.
Nice. And this obviously came from our son-in-law episode.
Yes, son-in-law. Highly recommend. Great CLE. It's only like 3.5 minutes, like all of them. Okay, so astronauts turn drillers versus drillers turn astronauts. And what's the situation they're going to be in?
Hope it has to do with a rock.
Who could better drill? No, I'm joking. Who could better stop a hurtling asteroid? Okay,
I'm ready.
Who's more likely to stand their ground and get an abortion?
Oh my God.
So here's a 1974 Black Christmas prompt for y'all.
I'll just throw this out. I'm going to say that astronauts would probably be more open-minded towards culturally.
And I was going to say, I'd imagine a lot of this drill crew specifically, I'd imagine there's a lot of conservative views happening on that crew.
Yeah. And we all know where the conservatives stand.
They're all for
on
it.
Abortion. Yeah. They say, get that baby out here and then let me throw it in a gutter.
They stand in front of the clinic with horrible pictures accosting people who are just trying to live their lives.
Oh, that
on
happens
the worst
in
day
Juneau.
of their
How weird.
lives.
All babies want to be born. False.
But they don't care once they're born, so.
Yeah, a lot of
So,
those
yeah, I'm just
babies
gonna go ahead
turn
and
real
say
apathetic real
astronauts.
quick.
Yeah. If you're a right-wing listener, nothing personal, but
You should choose a better party.
we're going to be roasting people. Okay, so
Roast mode.
we're in agreement here. Then.
Give it to the scientists.
Astronauts versus let's drillers or astronauts. So this is an easier way to say this. Okay,
one.
next predicament. Who's more likely to vote by mail? Again,
Wow.
we get one kind of divided by party lines, and I feel like the answer's got to be the same.
Yeah, this isn't even a contest.
Like, clearly Republicans are not voting by mail, and 2020 shows that.
I'm pretty sure I saw a video of an astronaut voting by mail like this election.
It's like,
Was
what?
he in space while he was doing it?
She was.
Oh.
How sexist
That's
of you,
dope.
Danny. Okay, so we have this team of lady astronauts taking the win today, I think.
Are they ladies?
Well, girls get it done.
Girls get it done.
On to
So
our
that means-
finals. We have a team of astronauts of mixed gender turned drillers versus my champion, your champion, America's champion, Brendan Fraser.
George of the jungle.
Who would give the better Secret Santa gift?
Oh, come on. Brendan Fraser.
Come on, man.
Let's be honest, it's Brendan Fraser,
Come
y'all.
on, man.
Like
This is such an easy win.
no ill will towards this group of mixed gender scientists.
Turned oil drillers.
Turned oil drillers. But even if they hadn't turned oil drillers, they'd be really busy just being astronauts. And now they have all this drilling stuff to worry about too on top of it. They're not going to have a lot of time for shopping. You know what I mean? You're getting a gift card. That's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser is going to get you.
Card.
Even if this is a Secret Santa where you get your like 3 wishes, you know what I mean? Brendan Fraser's going to get you some super dope gift that wasn't even on that list. And you're like, oh my God, this was so thoughtful.
Yeah, because we have a relationship with Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
Okay, we all do. We don't have a relationship with the astronauts.
I don't even know who these people are.
I don't. But also, he's there. He's been there for us just as much as we've been there for him, and he's listened to everything we've said all year, and he wrote down what our gift would be.
Wow. Facts.
Hard facts.
And just to argue the same side, but from a slightly different angle, if you're the listener and you're like, these guys are just picking Brendan Fraser, this is a stupid segment.
You're stupid.
Here's a real argument for you. Imagine being like one of 12 people, like in a group of 12 people, and you have to collectively decide to pick a present for a Secret Santa. Like,
That's a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
That's tough. How do you pick one present? What are you going to end up doing? You're going to get something like a gift card, or you're going to get something really generic, like, well, let's get him a coffee cup. And then it's in a group text, and everyone's like, yeah, sure, that sounds good. Yeah, whatever.
See, yep. It would be coldly calculated.
Yes. They'd be like, what's our budget? Okay, let's get him a pack of socks or something. Whereas Brendan Fraser, you know, his thoughts, they're heartfelt. He's a man who appreciates other people, and I'm assuming this based on his role in the film The Mummy.
And Blast from the Past.
And The Mummy Returns.
True.
And The Scorpion King.
And The Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. I think that's what the name of that movie is. I don't even know.
And you're telling me the man who like showed up to the set, rehearsed all his lines to act next to Looney Tunes that weren't there next to him, all in the hopes of entertaining us, which failed horribly. He's not going to put in the effort to get you a Secret Santa present that actually matters and touches your heart. He's definitely pulling through.
I would even go as far as to say that if Brendan Fraser only had $200 left over from his paycheck from making Furry Vengeance about 11 years ago, he would probably buy you a present worth $85 at least.
Yeah.
Leaving him with only $15 because it would make your Christmas.
What a beautiful man. Well, everyone, I think that's it. I think we got another win for Brendan Fraser. We got one more week of wintry content. We have a jingle all the way CLE.
How fantastic.
Next week. We're all stoked.
Put that cookie down.
And then, join us at the end of December for our year in review roundup, where we're going to talk about our favorite movies of the year, maybe some spicy recommendations, and I have a secret game planned for Frank and Danny. Will they both survive? Well, yes, I wouldn't want to kill one of my friends. These are nice guys.
Lame.
But you can play along as well, okay? So, of course, thanks for, tuning in and all that. Danny, I feel like you should take this ending. It's always so clean when you do it.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Check us out anywhere you can listen to podcasts. You're obviously listening to us now. Check us out on Spotify. Check us out on Apple Podcasts. Give us a subscribe at David and Frank and Beans on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at Uninformed Movie Reviews, where David posts primo content. Also has the link to his OnlyFans in the description.
Yes.
Check us out on Facebook, David and Frank and Beans, and Uninformed Movie Reviews, where we post CLEs and the like. Thanks for checking it out, everyone. Take it easy.